Hey folks, it's Andy with themortalguitarist.com, and it's been a while since we've done one of these videos, but I figured it's time to get back in the saddle and maybe see about finishing off the basic simple theory series that I've started doing, and to just kind of finish off the discussion about modes. Now, yeah, I know that modes is one of those things that is a big headache to a lot of people. I know there's a lot of confusion about it, and we've covered basically what modes are and how they come about. But just to recap, if you take a scale, take any scale you like, start playing it on the first note and play through the scale, you've got whatever your scale is. Start playing the same notes, but start on the second note, you get a different pattern of notes, and that is the second mode of that scale. Start on the third note, you've got the third mode of the scale, and so on. Now, an example of this would be if we start off on a major scale. And remember, we've said in the past that the major scale is the basic building block for just about all of our Western music theory. So if we start off on the major scale, which is also known as the Ionian mode, and if we do it in, let's say, C, because that way we don't have to keep worrying about sharps and flats, but the principle is exactly the same every way we go. So if we start off and we play C major scale or C Ionian, it goes like this. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And if we then play the exact same notes, but we start on the second degree of that C Ionian, so the C Ionian gives us C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That's why we use C, because it's just easier to talk about. So if we then do the same notes, but we start on D, so we now get, instead of C, D, E, F, G, A, B, we get D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So it's the same notes, but in a different order. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And what we have just played there, it started on a D, so it's something in D, and the mode is called Dorian because that is the shape of the mode. That's what that interval pattern gives us. If we start on the third note of the C major scale, so C, D, E, and we play E, F, G, A, B, C, D, so we get E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. We've just played E Phrygian. If we start on the next note, which is the F, we get F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and we've just played the Lydian mode. Follow that through, we get the Mixolydian, then the Aeolian and the Locrian. So you can treat this in one of a couple of different ways. One is that once you've actually worked out all the shapes, all the patterns that the notes give you, you discover that if you start on C and play C Ionian, you've got C major. If you start on a D and play D Dorian, you've still got the notes of C major. If you start on an E and play E Phrygian, you've still got the notes of C major. Take it through, start on an A, play A Aeolian, A natural minor, you still got the notes of C major. So the one thing you can do is you can use this knowledge to play in any key anywhere on the neck, which is fantastically useful, obviously. And the other thing that you can do is you can start off on a note, say on your C note, play C Ionian, you've got C major, but you can also play the pattern that we've identified as being the shape for the Dorian mode, and you've got C Dorian, the pattern for the Phrygian mode, you've got C Phrygian, and so on. And what the modes do in this sense is they bring in different combinations of notes that are still related, but they give you different flavors. It's like having different spices to add. And you can chop and change these things quite freely. You know, it's the music is yours. And when you're playing, you can do this and you can actually add a different flavor. And one of the things that you realize is that some of the modes are major, some of them are minor, some of them have got a diminished sound to them, some of them have got a flat seventh, and they just come in useful in different places. So we're not going to go into the uses just now. We'll do that in a video coming up soon. But what this brings me round to is this. How do you learn these things? I've seen videos, I've read books, I've read magazine articles that tell you this is really simple. All you have to do is learn one or two shapes and then you can move them about the neck and they give you all of the modes, so you don't have to learn all of those shapes. And the prime example would be that thing we looked at where C Ionian, C major is the same as A Aeolian. So if you are playing in a particular key and you've got the major shape, if you move it up 3 frets, you get the notes of the minor scale of that. So if you were playing in A and you move up 3 frets and play the Ionian shape, you get the key of C major, but that's the same as A minor. And lots of rules for this. Move it across 1 string, down 2 frets, and so on and so forth. I'm going to be slightly contrary on this front and say that whilst that's certainly quite handy, and I know some great guitar players who do it that way, I would look at it this way. There are 7 modes, just 7 of them, and they are repeating patterns. I say learn them, because what you will find is that learning your way around the guitar fretboard is not a linear process. You don't start off and learn something and suddenly know all of it. What you do is you learn layers, and those layers may be the cage system, the chords that come out of the cage system, your pentatonic shapes that go on top of that, your modes that go on top of that, your various triads which sit on top of that. And if you learn all of these shapes, all 7 of these shapes, you will find as you work through different things that you will suddenly have moments where you go, oh look, the bottom of that chord is the same as this. It's one of these, or this is one of these, or you'll be playing a bit of a pentatonic scale, and you'll suddenly realise that that passing note that you're putting in is actually dipping into the Dorian mode or something like that. And over a period of time, and I mean, it's an ongoing journey. I swear this has taken me years and years and years. Maybe the gods of guitar get it just like that, but I suspect for most of us, it takes a long time for this to go in. And you just get more and more moments where the little things start to sort of hook up and actually join together, and the neck starts to make sense as an entity that all ties in. But I think that learning the modes really helps in doing this, especially when you find yourself where you're in a position on the neck, you've got a note, and you simply want to be able to play where you are. And when you're in the middle of creating music, when you're in that mode where let's not say that, where you're in that state of mind where you've kind of put aside everything that you've practiced, everything that you learned, and you're just trying to create music on the fly. You don't want to be trying to remember rules for how many strings and how many frets across and down you need to move to get a certain mode. I think you simply want to have it in your fingers. You simply want to be able to play it. So there are 7 of them. What I would suggest is this, and this may work for you, against you. You find your own way. I've come to the conclusion that what we do with the Mortal Guitarist should not be about hand-holding and spoon-feeding, but what I would suggest is this. Take the Ionian mode, the major scale mode, and learn it. There are lots of different shapes for applying this on the neck, but what we're talking about now is learning it, not necessarily playing. So I would suggest use the 3-note per string model because it's consistent, and learn the Ionian mode. It'd take you 5-10 minutes to learn it, and do that on day 1. Learn Ionian, 3 notes per string. You can get the sheet with all these shapes on from www.mortalguitarist.com. So learn Ionian on day 1. On day 2, learn the Dorian mode, which is the next mode up from Ionian, and spend your 5-10 minutes on that, whatever you need for it, and then spend 5 minutes playing them, running Ionian Dorian together. Day 3, learn the Phrygian mode, and then spend 10 minutes running Ionian, Dorian, and Phrygian together. Do the Lydian, do the Mixolydian, do the Aeolian, do the Locrian, and very, very importantly, when you've done the Locrian, roll forward again to the octave up version of Ionian, and make it part of your practice regime. If you want something to work on to just loosen your fingers up at the beginning of a session, 3-note per string scales working through your modes. Go up the Ionian, slide up 1 note, down the Dorian, slide up the Phrygian, down the Lydian, and so on and so forth. Now, we've talked about doing this in C. It's just a lot easier if we've got no sharps or flats. But whatever note you start on, the same rules apply to it. So if you start on F sharp with your Ionian, then yes, you've got F sharp Ionian. If you move it up and start on G sharp, but play the same set of notes, then you've got your G sharp Dorian, which is the same notes as F sharp Ionian. So don't worry, all of this stuff translates. If it doesn't make sense, drop us a comment. My contact details are there for the website. You can always contact me through there. Stick a note on the video. I try to reply to these things when I get a chance to. And ask the question. No stupid questions. Just sitting on it when you don't understand it. And I will try and find a way to explain this. Everybody has got their own path to finding this stuff. The fact that I'm bothering to make yet another modes video doesn't mean that I'm claiming that anyone else is invalidated. It's just that I know how I struggled getting to grips with this stuff, and for me, this is the way. It seems like more work to start off with. It's like, what, Andy, really, you mean I've got to learn all 7 of these flipping shapes? But yeah, I think it is well worthwhile to do so. I think it will pay back at every step in the future of your guitar playing learning. Okay, I'm Andy. This is themockguitarist.com. You'll take care. Drop us a line if you've got any issues or problems or questions about this. I'll see you next time out. Bye now.